Something significant unfolded during the latest ANC National Executive Committee meeting, a moment of political turmoil that is still reverberating through the corridors of power. What was meant to be a policy discussion quickly transformed into a heated confrontation, one that insiders believe will be remembered as one of the most dramatic periods of Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency. Behind those closed doors sat Fikile Mbalula, the ANC's combative Secretary-General, face-to-face with the president himself. This was no ordinary debate. It was fierce, incendiary, and possibly game-changing for the future of South Africa's ruling party. For months, Mbalula had voiced his frustrations about Ramaphosa's leadership style in private conversations. But at this meeting, he chose to air them publicly, at least within the ANC's most senior chamber. He reportedly came armed with documents, timelines, and probing questions, determined to corner the president. One insider put it bluntly, Mbalula walked into that room prepared to go nuclear. And nuclear he went. At the heart of Mbalula's anger was what he described as a dirty little secret Ramaphosa had been hiding from both the NEC and the people of South Africa. The exact details remain unclear, but insiders suggest it involved murky negotiations with private businesses, casting doubt on the president's carefully cultivated image as the champion of anti-corruption. Ramaphosa has long presented himself as the man who came to clean up the rot of state capture, but Mbalula insisted that the truth was very different. According to Mbalula, the president had been hiding behind the rhetoric of reform while quietly enriching a shadow network of business allies and political supporters. He alleged that Ramaphosa's so-called reforms were nothing more than smoke and mirrors, strategic distractions to prevent South Africans from noticing that systemic manipulation had simply evolved into a more sophisticated form. Some whispers even suggested foreign fingerprints along the trail, hinting at outside interference in the country's political affairs. Then came the bombshell. Mbalula revealed that many government tenders awarded during Ramaphosa's presidency had gone to firms that were major donors to his 2017 ANC leadership campaign. He denounced this as no coincidence but rather a betrayal of the ANC's liberation heritage. In his words, this was state capture 2.0, just with a cleaner suit and fancier language. Witnesses described the room as falling into stunned silence. Some NEC members looked shocked, struggling to process what they had just heard. Others exchanged knowing glances, as if to say they had suspected it all along. Ramaphosa, usually calm and reserved, reportedly bristled with indignation. He accused Mbalula of deliberately sowing discord and undermining party unity at a time when cohesion was desperately needed. But Mbalula stood firm. His words, insiders say, thundered through the chamber. If we cannot call out dishonesty at the highest level of this movement, then we are already dead men walking. The citizens of this nation are owed the truth. That audacious statement struck a chord with several ANC veterans. Some nodded quietly, recognizing in his words the frustrations of longtime members who believe the party has strayed too far from its revolutionary roots and become entangled in corporate interests. Analysts quickly began asking, was this the start of a serious internal power realignment within the ANC? Ramaphosa dismissed the accusations as reckless, irresponsible, and faction-driven. Yet what unsettled many was his failure to categorically deny certain claims, especially the allegation that campaign donors had profited from government contracts. Instead of hard evidence, he leaned heavily on assurances about processes, systems, and legal compliance. One NEC member summed it up bluntly afterward. If Cyril was clean, he would have gone on the attack with facts. He didn't. That's what worries us most. The showdown has sent shockwaves through the ANC. For years, Ramaphosa had been seen as the steady hand guiding the party away from the chaos of the Zuma era. But Mbalula's challenge cut directly into that narrative, painting the president not as a reformer but as a continuation of the same old patronage networks, just repackaged in reformist language. Political commentators are now speculating about the revival of old factions. Some even suggest Mbalula is positioning himself as the leader of a return to core values movement within the ANC, determined to steer the party back to its liberation roots. Whether or not Mbalula has the numbers to mount a direct challenge, his fiery rhetoric has undeniably shaken the president's base. Particularly telling is the reaction from younger ANC members. Many have rallied behind Mbalula, seeing him as a voice of conscience in a party that has long lost its moral authority. One young NEC member put it clearly. He said what many of us think but don't dare say. He spoke truth to power. The backlash was immediate. Plans for a special follow-up NEC meeting were set in motion, and whispers began circulating about the creation of a secret ethics committee to investigate the allegations. If such a committee were established, and if its findings were ever made public, the consequences for Ramaphosa could be politically devastating. The bigger picture is even more concerning. If the ANC cannot resolve this crisis internally, South Africa may be heading into one of its most turbulent political eras since the dawn of democracy. Old coalitions could fracture, new groups could emerge, and the ANC's dominance could be broken in ways once thought unimaginable. What began as a confrontation between Ramaphosa and Mbalula could end up being far more than a clash of personalities. It may mark the beginning of a long and dirty fight for the soul of the ANC itself. Already, analysts disagree on how to interpret Mbalula's actions. Some argue he is merely grandstanding, adopting the role of fearless truth-teller to strengthen his own leadership prospects. Others believe his intervention was genuine, a desperate attempt to hold the president accountable before the ANC loses all credibility. Either way, the fact that such allegations were voiced so openly in the NEC, the party's highest decision-making body between conferences, signals widening cracks at the heart of the ruling party. South African politics has rarely been this volatile, and the next chapters promise even greater drama. This is only the beginning. Until next time, stay woke, stay critical, and stay bold.